One, two, three. Go! Welcome to Perfect Word Media. My name is J. Monroe Johnson. And today is Tuesday, July the 14th. (2026). I'm standing on top of the Monroe compound at one of the, if not the most highest points of Sand Mountain, formerly known as Raccoon Mountain, and during the Civil War that lasted from 1861 to 1865, it was known commonly as Raccoon Mountain, and they renamed it to Sand Mountain, and now it's known commonly also as Meth Mountain. One time a man said, "You know Marshall County's crooked, don't you?" I said, "Well, I've heard that." He said, "The drug traffickers have gotten too close to the officials." I said, "I don't know about that." He said, "I'm telling you, it's the cartel." And it's the mafia. Well, folks, I look back and I realize they've been trying to kill my family for the last 25 years now. And if you'll just pay attention to our videos, you'll understand it. It's the modern day Ku Klux Klan. Corrupt officials that rig the system. That's what the Ku Klux Klan always was and is and will be until we the people stop them from destroying our democracy from within. The greatest threat to the United States is our government. And yet again, it's the state of Alabama. Domestic terrorists. I'll now begin this video with the introduction music to Elvis Presley's concerts, known as the 2001 Space Odyssey Elvis Presley concert introduction music. Folks, when the officials knew secretly for 5 years that this development deal would be built in front of our property, they began executing a targeted killing against my family. And they killed our chief financial officer. He was killed by Marshall County Circuit Court Judge Mitch Floyd on August 31st, 2022. They then quickly, that's the officials of Marshall County, by, with, and for the Albertville City officials. They moved quickly to kill my mother, Eugenia, and she had a near fatal heart attack January 22nd, 2025. Now this is after they had me SA'd April 15th, 2019, and I'll spell that for YouTube, SEXUALLY. Folks, you got the police ordering sex crimes in Marshall County to aid and abet multi-million-dollar real estate theft schemes for mob boss realtor Mayor Mayor-HONEA. I ask that you contact the FBI and report this vicious, emotional, financial rape, RAPE, and murder. There's the Marshall County Sheriff's Department right there. They're part of this. $15 million deadly land theft scheme that follows a $5 million cash extortion scheme by the same corrupt officials. They extorted us for $5 million. That's the judges of Marshall County in 2021. And that's with a frivolous lawsuit after they audited our company. We owned 5 county, so to speak, 5 counties worth of finance offices. We had 23 offices in 5 Northeast Alabama counties. We only had problems with Marshall County. All the other counties we operated for 16 years without any problems whatsoever. Now, Marshall County is known to be crooked. And if you think that means speed traps and overcharging for various offenses, you're wrong. It's slander. It's rape and murder for theft. And that's the God's truth. And you can take that and deny it, or you can take that and ask to hear more. And I'll tell you the truth. I always speak the truth. I've been deemed as a United States trustworthy witnesses by 2 United States federal court judges, and that's Anne Marie Carney-Axon at the Hugo L. Black Federal Courthouse in Birmingham, and United States Federal Judge Corey Landon Mays at the United States Scottsboro Boys Federal Courthouse in Huntsville. I suggest you Google those courthouses and just look at them on the Google images. One the Hugo L. Black Federal Courthouse was built when President Ronald Reagan was in office, and President Joe Biden ordered the Huntsville Federal Courthouse to be built. I ask you to Google the Ku Klux Klan and understand what we're really dealing with here. You know, it's when the judges and the sheriffs and the mayor and the bankers and the juries, you know, the local radical churches, they make up the juries, and they're told what to do. And they slander people. They demonize their theft target. That's the way they get people killed. They say, so-and-so's dirty, take them down. Well, they just want their house, you know. So I warn you, if the Marshall County Sheriff's deputies and or the Albertville City Police are banging on your front door, don't go to the door and open it, not without an attorney on the phone and or an FBI agent. They may just be there to destroy your family with a hidden agenda and with a promise from a banker, whereby the banker says your home's almost paid off. And once the officials can put the property into foreclosure, the banker will then give the foreclosed property to one or more of the corrupt officials. And that's what happened in this case. They have gotten caught, and they have tried to kill me now for the last 8 years. They've tried to kill my mother for the last 8 years. They do that primarily through stress, sabotage. They want you to lose everything to them, and they attempt to make it look like your fault. I ask you to pray for them. They have harmed themselves just unthinkably. And I ask you to pray for us. We're in grave danger. My mother's 86 years of age, and when she became a widow in 2020, my stepfather, John L. Collins, passed away July the 11th, 2020. And then my mother became the sole owner of several $1 million worth of real estate. And that's when the raving wolves of Marshall County rushed in to tear her to pieces. And they've almost killed her. That's their goal. They want to steal her children's inheritance, and they want to crucify. And that means abuse viciously and relentlessly to death, Eugenia. That's their goal. No matter what they say, folks, look at what they've done. And witnesses have now come forward to solidify the truth in this case, and it is horrendous. A high-profile Alabama political corruption scandal, a horrific tragedy, whereby the judicial system, which is made up naturally of the law enforcement system, has been caught executing targeted killings against taxpayers to steal millions of dollars in real estate. And folks, this is the 5th time they've tried to steal our property. It's all detailed in court, and it will be proven in court. So I ask again that you contact the FBI. You can Google FBItip.gov or Google how do I report a crime to the FBI. They have a 1-800 number and a call center. You can reference this YouTube channel. They're well aware of this crime. It's bank fraud, conspiracy, obstruction of justice, unlawful death, misusing political offices for personal gain. You know, it's life without parole for these conniving land thieves. I'll name the 11 unindicted co-conspirators, and then I'll play Fight Inside of Me by Merle Haggard. The flags are being flown upside down on at the Monroe compound as a distress signal. We're German Americans. My mother's maiden name is Rogers, Rogers, and her mother's maiden name is Roden, Roden, both of German descent. And our German surname is Herr Hofmeister Rogers from Berlin, Germany. Number 1 is Governor Kay Ivey. Number 2 is Alabama Attorney General Stephen Troy Marshall. He was the Marshall County District Attorney before he was appointed by the now disgraced former Alabama Governor Robert Bentley for his over SEXTD office. That's Robert Bentley that was convicted of sex crimes in the governor's office. You can Google that. And he appointed Attorney General Stephen Troy Marshall, who just recently received around 20% of a vote in the U.S. Senate race. He will not be a U.S. Senator, thank God. And he'll no longer be the Alabama Attorney General after February 18th, 2027. We're looking forward to that day where he'll no longer be in office. He's utterly corrupt. He allowed all this to happen. And both of them, Governor Kay Ivey and Attorney General Stephen Troy Marshall, they were well aware that Brother Chappell was pleading for his life and pleading for Eugenia's life and my life. And he went to the governor's office by way of the governor's mansion twice in person and had a meeting with 2 state troopers and a couple of Governor Kay Ivey's staff members. And he said, if we don't get some help, they're going to kill us. We don't know why they want our property, but they do. They're bragging, they'll harm us and steal our property, and they're attempting to do it, and we need some help. Well, they promised help. It's on audio recorders, and they gaslighted him. They let him get killed. That's called dereliction of duty, depraved indifference, deliberate blindness. I promise you they knew full well of this $1 billion retail outlet development deal that the officials knew secretly for 5 years before it was on the Alabama television news. All this began in November 2018 when Sheriff Phil Sims was elected, unfortunately, as the Marshall County Sheriff. He was a Etowah County deputy before he was the Marshall County Sheriff. I said to a lady once, I said, if there's any lesson to be learned from this tragedy, it's that any Marshall County sheriff, regardless of their gender, but preferably of the female gender, they need to be female, in my opinion, under these circumstances, and they need military experience, U.S. military experience. And the lady said, that's exactly who they would never allow as sheriff in Marshall County. They want a do-boy. They want a gopher. You know, they want somebody that cheated their way through life, including elementary school, high school, you know, before they became sheriff. But anyway, We've been told that both Phil Sims and Tracy Honey, the mayor of Albert, will have that type of reputation as, teenagers. So anyway, all you got to do is see what they've done lately. They've almost killed my mother. That's what they've done lately. Trying to steal our property again. And that's, again, primarily 11 unindicted co-conspirators. Again, I'll go through that list without interruption. Governor Kay Ivey, Attorney General Stephen Troy Marshall, by way of tacit approval, they allowed all this to happen. And Brother Chappell never knew about the Super Target retail outlet development deal that's now under construction. They killed him in 2022, and it was on the Alabama television news that it would be built. And that was on the Alabama television news July the 20th, 2024. And they killed him August 31st, 2022. They then became very desperate and thereby vicious in their attacks against us, and that's when my mother had a near fatal heart attack. I asked the conniving land thieves, how could you leave my mother, Eugenia, crying on the floor in excruciating chest pain? Real easy, $15 million. That's the answer, folks. They all want to kill the elderly and steal their property. That's what they really want to do, no matter what they say. That's their solution to the city of Albertville being over $323 million in unpayable debt. And I've been told mob boss realtor Mayor Tracy Honey committed bond, B-O-N-D, fraud to get the city in over $323 million in unpayable debt. That's over $14,000 per resident. How in God's name does a small city with only 21,000 residents borrow over $323 million? If you are clueless, if you are just absolutely stunned by the question and have no idea the answer, it's fraud. You can write that down, F-R-A-U-D. And in this case, it's bond, B-O-N-D, fraud. Okay, now they're committing bank fraud. Their solution to their financial crisis was kill the elderly and steal their real property. So please contact the FBI and report any information you have regarding this crime or any information you have regarding these 11 conniving land thieves. One more time, here's the 11. Governor Kay Ivey, Attorney General Stephen Troy Marshall by way of tacit approval. Then you go from the Montgomery State House and Governor's Office and Office of the Attorney General. You go from there, which is in Montgomery County, and you leave those two people, so to speak, Governor Kay Ivey and Attorney General Stephen Troy Marshall, you leave them in Montgomery County. Then you drive north to Marshall County, located about an hour and a half south of Chattanooga, 3 hours west of Atlanta, and there's 3 primary conniving land thieves in the Marshall County Courthouse. That's 2 judges, Circuit Judge Timothy Francis Riley, whom Brother Chappell deemed the wicked godhead of the modern day KKK. Brother Chappell said the Marshall County Courthouse is the headquarters for the Ku Klux Klan of Marshall County. He meant it. He's not speaking figuratively. They no longer wear white Ku Klux Klan robes with pointy white hats that cover their face to hide their identity. They wear black judicial robes and ask that people rise when they enter the courtroom. You know, narcissist and very dangerous. So you've got Circuit Judge Timothy Francis Riley and District Judge Mitch Floyd. Then you, figuratively speaking, walk across Gunter Avenue in Guntersville to the Sheriff's Department. And there you find Sheriff L. Sims. Now those are the three in Marshall County. So one more time, you got Governor Kay Ivey, Attorney General Stephen Troy Marshall in Montgomery County. That's the capital. Of Alabama, Montgomery. County. And then three in Marshall County, Guntersville Courthouse, including the sheriff. That's two judges, Circuit Judge Timothy Francis Riley, District Judge Mitch Floyd, and Sheriff Phil Sims. Then you go from there to Albertville City. It's the Albertville City Hall and the Albertville City Police Department. It's Mayor Tracy-HONEA, Albertville City Attorney Jimmy Carnes, also known as Jim Carnes, a collector of cats. I don't have a problem with cats, but he does collect cats, and he has about 24 in his law office, 24/7. I don't know how they maintain that without a bad smell, but they do. I once saw him at the Tractor Supply buying a 50-pound bag of cat food. But anyway, then you've got Albertville City Police Chief Thief Carty. That's Police Chief J. T. Carty. Okay, then there are three corporate executives. That's Liberty Bank President Chris Bailey of Albertville. That bank is headquartered in DeKalb County, Geraldine. And this multi-million-dollar deadly land theft scheme by Marshall County and Albertville City and the state of Alabama. Yet Marshall County is the state of Alabama. The judges and the sheriff, they're not county employees. They're state employees assigned to a county, yet they're utterly corrupt. There are others involved besides these 11. But to finish it out, 9, 10, and 11 is Liberty Bank President Chris Bailey, Cadence Bank former Vice President of Guntersville Margaret Lacey, and chiropractic Dr. John Allen Smith, as I stated, SA'd me. That's SEXUALLY, assaulted me. April 15th, 2019, and then lied 5 times in my medical record. I've been told he's lost around 80 to 100 pounds because of all this stress. Have him go to the Birmingham FBI and just tell them who ordered him to do it. We have a real good idea. It's an Albertville City Police Sergeant that threatened me within about 3 days of me then going to my chiropractic doctor, who then SA'd me during a chiropractic session. So anyway, and how did the police sergeant threaten me? He said, if you don't keep your mouth shut, I'm going to put you in jail. He was a little bit more vulgar in his terminology, but I'll keep it G-rated for YouTube. So anyway, when they feel threatened, folks, they lash out. And that's why they had Eugenia's son, me, J. Monroe Johnson, essayed. They wanted me to stop protecting my mother so they could financially gang, G-A-N-G-R-A-P-E, my mother. And as they knew that we had no idea that our property was no longer worth $1.5 million, the Super Target Retail Outlet Development deal makes our 2-acre corner lot, along with our double-sided digital billboard permit, worth in excess of $15 million. It went up 10 times in value. These traffic lights and turn lanes right there alone, according to 2 commercial realtors, add $3 million to the corner lot. The traffic lights, street lights, and turn lanes in front of our 2-acre corner lot. See, we're at the corner of Solitude and 431. Folks, it's the amount of money involved, and for $15 million, they'll kill you quick in Marshall County, and that's the officials. They'll kill your whole family for $15 million in Marshall County. You know, a massacre. So again, just contact the FBI. They're well versed in matters such as this, and pray for these villains. They have all done unthinkable and outrageous and enormous harm to our nation, our state, our county, our city, our banking institution, our judicial institution, our political system. It's just a tragedy. It's greed. It's barbarity. And yes, inbreeding plays a role in this. It is known that inbreeding creates impulse disorders, and an impulse disorder prevents someone from being able to stop themselves. For example, in things related to sex, drugs, money, gambling, theft. And I feel very strongly that literally is a contributing factor here. I mean that literally, and these people should receive a thorough mental health evaluation for what they've done. I'll now play Fight Inside of Me by Merle Haggard.
These guys don't know what they're talking about.
Things ought to be. And I don't mind them switching sides and standing up for things they believe in. When they're running down our countryman, they're walking on the fighting side of me. You're walking on the fighting side of me. Running down a wheel of life, our fighting men have fought and died together. believe it. Let this song that I'm singing be a warning. When you're running down my country horse, you walking on the fighting side of me. I read about some squirty guy that claims that he just don't believe in fighting. And I wonder just how long the rest of us can count on being free. They love our milk and honey, but they preach about some other way of living. When they're running down our country, man, they're walking on the fighting side of me. You're walking on the fighting side of me. Running down a way of life, or fighting many fought and died to keep. If you don't love it, believe it. Let this song that I'm singing be a warning. When you're running down my country horse, you walking on the fighting side of me. You're walking on the fighting side of me. Running down a way of life, or fighting in it, fought and died to keep. If you don't love it, leave it. Let this song that I'm singing be a warning. When you're running down my country, man, you're walking on the fighting side of me.
I'll now close the video with Whitney Houston's Star Spangled Banner, followed by the U.S. Navy Band's Taps that was played at Brother Chappell's funeral. Brother Chappell's memory will not be forgotten among us. Long live spiritual grandpa, Brother Chappell. He lost his life defending Constitution in Marshall County over a $15 million, multi-million dollar land theft scheme. And with the tacit approval of Governor Kay Ivey and Attorney General Stephen Troy Marshall.
And now, to honor America, especially the brave men and women serving our nation in the Persian Gulf and throughout the world, please join in the singing of our national anthem. The anthem will be followed by a flyover of F-16 jets from the 56th Tactical Training Wing at MacDill Air Force Base, and will be performed by the Florida Orchestra under the direction of Maestro Yaha Ling, and sung by Grammy Award winner Whitney Houston.
Rest in power and peace, Brother Chapel. Thank you for your service. God save my mother, Eugenia. God save the United States. God save humanity from greed, vicious, violent theft, rape, and murder. God save us all. In Christ Jesus' holy and precious name. Amen.